I'll follow. Yeah.
Everyone, I'd like to call to order the September 8th, 2021 CFPUA board meeting. That we have everybody present today. That being said, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, have the approval of our minutes from our August meeting, Mr. Hackney.
August minutes are in your packet. Need a motion to approve.
Excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any public speakers today? Any speakers? Moving right along to our consent agenda. We have 7 items before you. Take any questions, comments, or motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
New business administrative reports. Ms. Donald?
I do not have anything today.
Wow.
You?
No closed session either. I know, you don't believe it.
Next, executive director's report, Walter.
Yes, in your packet on page 84, the key indicators report, the environmental report, and safety report. Staff stands ready to answer any questions.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Ken, I just had 2 quick clarifications on the turnover and vacancy rates on page 95. Just a quick question. Are we having difficulty finding new employees, or that number seems to be hanging up there?
I looked back over the record, and we've had periods over the last 5 years where we've had similar vacancy rates. So looking at the particular drivers for it at this period, there's a significant turnover associated with our customer service department. That's a high-stress, entry-level position where we're seeing a lot of those turnover activities. So I authorized the department head and HR to begin overhiring activities to try to mitigate this turnover.
Great. Thank you for being on top of that. Second question is on page 100 with the wastewater flows at the north side. Looks like we hit a 12-month high on average, 12.82 million gallons a day. Is this a rain issue? The odd thing is that we're not seeing it the same thing at the south side plant. So, yeah, any thoughts on that?
I'll ask Carl what his thoughts are.
It was primarily a rain issue. The month of August was very wet. I think we had 8 inches of rain measured at the north side plant and close to 16 inches at the south side plant. And I think from past experiences, we know that there's a response to the flows at the plants, to rainfall.
Great. So it's an anomaly is what you're saying?
Well,
Right.
it's related to rainfall, and we had a lot of rain in the month of August.
Thanks, Carl.
The south side used to treat a lot more rainwater than it did until we relined, we stopped it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ken.
Not on your report, but you just approved going to monthly billing, which I support. I just want to hear from the staff, how confident are we that we're going to be able to execute to make that conversion?
Krista, would you like to take that question?
Sure.
Because remember, we kind of have a bad history on changing billings.
But the billing system went great, right? We didn't have any issues when we moved to the new system.
Yes.
And with monthly billing, really what's changing are a lot of the workflows. So most of the processes now in the new billing system are driven by time. So it's a matter of changing those time elements within the workflows to reflect 30 days versus 60. Or in some cases, like when the bill date is due, changing it from 30 to 25. As far as the rate, the things that will be, that are fixed, that aren't like one-time events like a premise visit fee, for example, those will simply be cut in half. We've completed the route re-optimization of the routes, and so now we're in the process of pushing the information out for reads, pulling them back in, making sure that all works, and then we will complete the necessary testing of the billing system to make sure that all of our workflows are, completing properly. We don't see anything right now as being a holdup with moving to that and actually doing the migration that first weekend in October.
Have you had any feedback from users that either pro or con on making the change?
I have not heard any on the cons of moving to monthly billing. It will make the bill much more affordable for people as they build it back into their monthly budget. I'm trying to think of other places where I have been or that have done the same
We had
thing.
one person write to us in city council and say, oh, we're going to have to pay twice as often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she got
Right,
that was going to be half as much.
right,
But
right.
you had that.
We've had a couple people call in and question, and once they truly understand what that means to them and how it's going to impact them, then they have been very pleased with moving to the monthly, to a monthly bill.
That's good. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that. Well,
I know.
Mr. O'Grady, if I might add, you probably are aware we have two major activities with this department underway. Not only are we moving towards monthly billing, which will be a value add for all of our customers, we've returned to disconnects. But we're returning to disconnects in a very deliberate and structured manner. Our normal disconnect volume is probably an order of magnitude higher than what we are entering into on a weekly basis. And that we hope we will throttle as necessary to give Christie's team time to adjust to monthly billing. So if something slips, it would be the disconnect schedule, not the monthly billing activities. We have also authorized additional outside resources that we're negotiating with right now, and HR has been charged to provide Christie's team with additional resources in terms of the overhiring and any employee assistance program activities necessary during this stressful time.
I do have one question. So I asked a question in our commission meeting yesterday about money the county's giving, the city's giving, $500,000. And when will that take effect? And I was told by our team that the goal was that no one would get disconnected and that money would be available. So when will that kick in? If we're doing disconnects, and you've got money available, when will that be applied so that those things don't happen? Because that's the goal from our board anyway.
So we have $500,000 from the county and $500,000 from the city as well. So we now have $1 million for the bill assistance program. We're having meetings every Friday with county, city staff, and with Good Shepherd staff who will be administering the program. And I'm hopeful that it'll be underway in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think we're almost there. We're really working to make sure that we're using SharePoint and some other online tools to make sure all the documentation is in place in case there ever is an audit, making sure that it's going to be as smooth and as seamless as possible for customers, and trying to overcome any barriers that customers might have faced in the past with applying for programs, so trying to remove some of the red tape. So I definitely think we're on track for 2 to 3 weeks. I feel really confident about that.
So in that time period, will there be any disconnects?
The first disconnects would begin on the 21st, on or about the 21st, approximately 3 weeks after the first set of letters goes out. So we met with, Lindsay and I met with Ms. Tanya Jackson, the director for New Hanover County DHHS, looking to make sure that we had appropriate funding in either CFPUA assist or other programs to bridge this time frame between possible disconnects and the stand-up of this new customer assistance program. And once again, I would like to reiterate how thankful we are for our partners with the county and city for working with us diligently to try to get this program stood up as quickly as possible.
So the folks that are on the disconnect list, are they being referred now to this source so that they'll be in line to get those dollars so they won't be disconnected?
They would be referred to New Hanover County DHHS Actually, we would also refer them to our PFUA Assist page, which gives a list of potential aid agencies. And once this new program is stood up, yes, that would be added to that portfolio of aid agencies where they would be referred to. Other innovative ideas that staff are working on is try to, when people come in, try to understand some basics of their personal condition so they could be referred to the most likely agency to meet their need. Our goal is to not disconnect anybody. That is our goal. We've got to make sure people are applying for aid. And if they're applying for aid, we will bridge or hold in abeyance their disconnect until their aid status can be discovered by the aid agency to be determined. So we're going to take every action possible to avoid disconnects as long as individuals are working with us to find solutions.
I guess I'm not hearing what I want to hear. I mean, we talked about the money from the county and city a month ago. And if you're at a point now where you're doing disconnects, and we're saying we're 3 weeks away from coming with an agreement, that's 3 weeks too long in my opinion. And for me, we need to figure out how do we cut the red tape on this end and set up a program to help individuals. When I voted for this, I was looking at something more immediate than 2 or 3 months down the road when there's a need now. I'm just not hearing what I expected to hear in regards to, even with letting folks know the money's there. I mean, we've done everything we could from the county standpoint to let folks know there's rental assistance, there's mortgage assistance, there's assistance for small businesses. I mean, we've done all those things publicly so that folks know where to go. And I mean, I'm getting emails from folks asking for assistance. So that's why I asked the question in our meeting yesterday, thinking that I could give that person some direction today. But I really haven't heard anything where I can give someone any direction whatsoever other than wait 3 weeks, you might get disconnected.
We understand. We share your concerns. The ARP funding that is the source of this customer assistance program has a certain number of requirements. So our partners with the city and county are engaging in a contractual relationship with the Good Shepherd to be the administrators of this funding. And we're having to build the program and build around that the contractual engagement. So we'll redouble our efforts in support of the county, in support of the city to try to stand this up as quickly as possible. In the interim, there are programs available at New Hanover County DHHS, including PFUA Assist. Ms. Jackson shared with us that they'd recently moved $68,000 from donation sources to PFUA Assist to reinforce that program. They're standing up a mortgage assistance program. They'll be receiving new funding for the rental assistance program. So there'll be opportunities to refer people to aid. And again, we're only doing 100 a week, so there'll be 300 in the queue. And the first 100 simply needs to contact one of these aid agencies and make an application, and we will hold that disconnect for as long as 4 weeks while that application is reviewed. So our goal, again, is not to disconnect anybody, but fundamentally, the partner on the other side has to come and start working with us so we can help them get to the aid they need.
So that's good to know that CFPUA Assist does have a margin already in there, a buffer. Vaughn, is it possible that we could use our television time to sort of double down? There's been a ton of social media on it, and I appreciate that, but I'm wondering if right around that time when those letters go out, we could take advantage of that free time.
Sure, so 2 things. One, there actually should be 15-second spots running on both WCT and WWI at this time.
Okay.
In addition, the letter that's being sent out that notifies people that they're eligible for disconnection includes a paragraph specifically referencing the aid programs that are available and encouraging people to take advantage.
And is there a person, a point of contact, so if somebody reaches out to us, I'm hearing the same thing that Commissioner Barfield is as well. Is there a person in our organization that we can say, call John, not you, John, but, at this number, and they will, steer you in the right direction? Is there something that direct?
You can always send folks my way. We're going to send them to Christie's group
Okay, well,
as a means to start working out solutions. And that's the true point of contact that we want folks to make. On the web, through emails, through direct phone call. Last but not least, come in if they need to. So that group is the one that's best situated to move people to payment plans, and that's pretty important. We're going to offer everybody another payment plan. So we've changed our policy. Those that had payment plans that have broke them, we're going to bring them back into compliance with a new payment plan. If they apply for aid with New Hanover County HHS, we just need to confirm that they've done so, and then we'll hold their disconnect in a position of inactivity for as long as 4 weeks, while Ms. Jackson's team sees if they qualify for any of the existing programs. Then when this new customer assistance program comes online, this will be a third or fourth place for people to go. We'll refer people to that. I must let you know that there's probably going to be individuals who will not qualify for these various programs, that their income exceeds the eligibility requirements. So we can't promise that there will not be disconnects. What we can promise is we're going to do everything in our power to get people to apply and let them know where they need to apply, and hold off as long as possible disconnecting them while that application is reviewed.
so call Christie.
Yes. But let's route them to the customer service center.
Yes, I got it, thanks.
And certainly I'd be glad if anybody is contacting you directly, send it to me and I'll make sure they get to the right person. So all the staff, we're going to be leaning in on this as much as possible. Our normal disconnection letter rate is somewhere between 800 letters and 2,500, averaging about 2,400. 1,200. We have scaled that back to 100 letters a week. So a tenth of our normal volume. So we can take in these contacts and help them work through the system.
Thank you.
Well, obviously a lot of thought's been put into this, so I think we're in good shape. There's going to be some bumps.
And
We call you.
That's right. And we'll, as your staff, we're going to try to be flexible. We're going to try to be flexible. If something is not working, we will look at it from a different angle and try to come up with a different solution. Again, our goal is not to disconnect anybody as long as they're working with us. That's the important driver, is they need to be coming in and setting up some kind of solution.
And we remember a year ago, 18 months ago, there was like $4,000 in this thing. It was barely even being set up, so we've come a long way. Hat tip to everyone who's been working on this. We appreciate it.
And thank you for your patience as we work through it together over the next couple of months. So we'll not solve this overnight.
Any other comments?
I've lost, are we still in the executive director's report part of the agenda? Or?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll move on to our committee reports. First up is Executive Committee, met on September 1st. The meetings for the minutes are in your packet. We have 2 items to bring before you from the Executive Committee, and Mr. Walter, we'll start with item 2.
Yes, the first item that I'd like to bring to you is a suggestion from staff that we engage advocacy in Raleigh on behalf of the authority. So there is a lot of activity in both Washington and Raleigh to address national issues. And this has generated an unusual policy window. Both the North Carolina Senate version of the budget bill and the North Carolina representative budget of the budget bill have tens of millions, actually hundreds of millions of dollars within them, earmarked for water and sewer projects, carved out of ARP funding that the state received directly. Unfortunately, the authority was not one of the entities named in either the Senate or the House budget. We would like to engage Brooks Pierce as our advocates in Raleigh for two distinct purposes. One is, where possible, help us broker earmarks for our water and sewer capital improvement program. The other is, where possible, help us seek restitution for investments that the authority has made to address the PFAS problem. And we'll look at this over a 12-month period. I'll be talking with my peers at the county and city to see how they measure success for their advocates. And if we see some measure of success for this investment, we'll return to you with a recommendation on whether to continue it, whether to sunset it, or whether to expand it. So staff puts before you a request for consent to engage Brooks Pierce. The dollar figures are within the authority of your executive director.
Awesome.
Ken, will there be a reporting, a monthly reporting that you'll bring to this meeting?
Yes, there'll be monthly reporting from the advocate, which we will then translate and bring to at least the executive committee for recommendation on how to disseminate it to the broader group. There'll be some information within that that we may not want to disseminate too widely, obviously. But we'll use many of the same processes that our peers at the city and county will use. I'll be working closely with Tim Buckland and others to understand what that is.
Yeah, we just wanted to bring that to full board since it's something new that we're essentially adding, but we feel like there's some major opportunities to get in front of some of these issues on a state and national level that honestly a lot of staff has been filling in, but to have somebody full-time fighting on our behalf, working with the staff, I think really makes a lot of sense for where we are right now. So,
I agree that we certainly need that. A little concern is right now Brooks Pierce is our stick. They're the ones that we're using to beat people over the head and sue on our behalf to get things done. Is it appropriate that they're also our carrot? You know,
In evaluating the portfolio of advocates that are out there, in contacting our peers, in contacting the advocates for our professional organizations, I reached the conclusion, I think supported by analysis of our attorney, that Brooks Pierce is probably best positioned today.
May change in the future, but today.
yeah, and I don't question that. I'm just questioning not the competence or
Right.
how they're positioned, but will folks at the state be hounded by Brooks Pierce on one hand to, you know, in terms of the lawsuits, and then on the other hand, they have somebody coming to them and saying, can we work out?
Yes, and that's actually intentional.
Okay,
That's actually intentional.
all right.
That's actually what?
Intentional. We want close coordination between those two activities to receive the best outcome.
I'm good.
Who are the city and county advocates? Who's the city and county advocates?
In Raleigh?
Yes.
Fetzer,
Tom Fetzer.
Tom Fetzer, and McIntyre, Mike McIntyre.
Okay.
The two lobbyists we have, and then Keith White up at the federal level.
Yes, because you
We
asked for
we
it.
have used
I'm not sure who.
several groups in the past, but
I don't think we have anybody right now.
Attorney McEwen is our legislative liaison and has worked on Capitol Hill and Raleigh. He's very effective.
Okay.
Any other comments? If not, we'll take a motion to approve moving forward with Brooks Pierce as our governmental advocate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, Peter.
Next item I'd like to bring forward for your consideration is something of an update regarding our relationship with the town of Wrightsville Beach. So as you may recall, in late 2017, Wrightsville Beach completed a study of their long-term water supply options, and one of those options was what we call in the business a utility consolidation, a merger of utility functions between the town of Wrightsville Beach and the larger utility next door, CFPUA. So in April 2019, the authority and the town signed a temporary 3-year water agreement to supply the town with 45 million gallons of water annually, and that agreement included an option to merge the town water system with the authority system at the end of the agreement. That agreement ends next April. So February of this calendar year, at the request of the town of Wrightsville Beach, your staff submitted a draft memorandum of understanding to discuss the structure of a consolidation. That structure assumed that much of the work that might be necessary to bring the infrastructure of the town up to the authority standards would be done before consolidation was completed. In April, the town came back with a counter proposal asking that the consolidation be accomplished first and then any improvements be made under the authority's oversight. So I met with Tim Owens, the town manager, in August, and we agreed that we would recommend to our respective governing bodies a strategy. That we should together engage a consultant that specializes in utility consolidation and would update all of the costs associated with such a consolidation, including capital costs, personnel costs, and place all of that into what's called a financial pro forma to understand what were the ultimate costs and benefits for both communities. And then we would bring that financial pro forma back to our boards along with a final recommendation. To get there from here, what we need to do is an interlocal agreement with the town if this is what they want to do, and divide the cost of that work with the consultant. So the guidance we're seeking today is confirmation that you would like us to move down this path, develop the interlocal agreement, secure a consultant, and come back with both, with a time frame to evaluate the possibility of a consolidation.
Consultant would be chosen mutually.
Yes, ma'am.
You're looking for 50 grand, right? If I remember right?
We need to scope out the costs, but I've been involved in numerous consolidations in the past, and a total cost of over $100,000 is not unheard of, because there's a lot of work to understand what are all of the nuances, and this consultant would also bring back actual language for a consolidation. We'd also have to work with our two parent entities, the city and county, because such a consolidation, depending on how it's structured, may require their consent.
Well, the town of Wrightsville Beach is not dealing from a strong hand. They just aren't. I mean, that's why they're doing business with us right now in the first place. Whatever deal we work out, it needs to look favorable for the CFPUA. I don't want to play hardball, I just want to play fair ball.
Well, and there's two big pieces of that. One's financial, and one is liability of very aged infrastructure. And that's why this new study is so important, because the old study they had was, there were already items in there we needed to review. And so this will kind of give us a really actual, like, live view of what needs to be dealt with there, so that everybody can discuss what those potential liabilities are. But I would agree.
I'm assuming the basic strategy is to not put on our current ratepayers the cost of upgrading Wrightsville Beach. That somehow we structure something that they, over time, pay for their own. Great.
That is a very good assumption. That is one of the working assumptions that your staff is working under. And I've been part of several consolidations where there was a rate differential that was used to retire liability and debt. And when we were talking about liability, it's not just the financial liability. We would want to speak with the department to ensure that they used their prosecutorial discretion during this time frame to avoid enforcing overly harshly for any violations that occurred with a consolidated system specifically associated with the Wrightsville Beach infrastructure until it's improved. So there's a lot of moving parts here. We believe we can bring back a workable deal if we have willing partners on the other side.
Is it safe to assume that we won't have a workable deal by April?
It's possible that we would not have one by April. And you may recall that our existing agreement requires of Wrightsville Beach that they pay the differential between the wholesale rate as was and the wholesale rate as negotiated. So
Going forward, or?
Going back over the 3-year time frame of the contract.
Okay.
We estimate that to be approximately $400,000.
And then
We were a very good partner
Yeah.
to the town of Wrightsville Beach, very good.
Ken, also, and this may be in the weeds, I hope that as part of the discussions, we'll talk about some redundancy for the wastewater coming off of Wrightsville Beach. Having a single line has always amazed me, and I don't know how much more lucky we can get without a major break. So, but we'll leave that. That'll be a part of the report, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
For sure. So, no more comments. Let's take a motion to proceed with I guess, going through the process of finding a consultant, working out a memorandum of understanding with the town of Wrightsville Beach.
Move the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have a quick question about the minutes from Executive Committee. I note that we are going to reorganize the Public and Environmental Policy Department, and I don't know if most board members have heard. Lindsay Halleck will be leaving the organization. I was wondering if you could talk just for a sec about your philosophy about doing away with that department and sort of folding it into EMD, Environmental Management.
One of the things that I shared with our board and staff is I would like at least a 3-month period to evaluate the organization without making any changes. And one of the things that I believe I picked up on is Lindsay's department in particular is what I would call fairly stovepiped in its opportunity for the staff to grow and to be involved in all aspects of the organization. And for this position, what I would like to do is I would like to move it and the department under our Environmental Services Department and provide this position with a pathway of advancement to oversee that department as part of the employee and leadership development of the people within it. We will not lose the commitment of the department's activities for sustainability, and we'll actually incorporate that into the structure and charge of the larger department. And at least part of that is reflected in the activities that we had in the Sustainability Committee that's in the record.
Thank you so much. Another major portfolio that Lindsay has been supervising is affordability and the bill assistance. And can you describe how you're planning for that to be managed and transitioned?
I would like to move those responsibilities to Mr. McLean, where I think that we will also be investing in terms of that department and resources to take a focus in that area. So the sustainability activities are most aligned with our financial activities and with our collection activities. And I believe that we'll still maintain a focus there. As a matter of fact, that we will lean in there with future position modifications. I'm going to ask Mr. McLean to work with us to develop our new strategic plan, and that'll be a very important component of that strategic plan analysis.
Thank you for that.
And we regret losing Lindsay and would hope she would stay. But this is, as she moves on to bigger and better things, this is an opportunity to provide the next person in that position a chance not only to manage some very important aspects of our organization, but to grow and perhaps manage more larger aspects of the organization as a career path.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit to what Dr. Cannon was just saying. The Sustainability Committee has gone from nothing to becoming an important part of this organization. And during that time, we have surfaced a lot of areas that we can do better within our own organization, but for the entire community. It's been, I believe, a really strong success story throughout. I just throw in, I hear what you're saying, and it makes some sense to allow for vertical success, even more. I just hope, and please keep an eye on the success, and I don't want it to get buried in another department. And so that it is given the same kind of flexibility and support within the organization to continue to try and surface these many issues that, frankly, we never even talked about before until they had their own sustainability committee. I certainly don't want to lose for our organization that momentum.
You have our commitment.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments? We'll move on to long-range planning committee, Mr. Sneeden.
Yes, the minutes of the August 26th meeting of the long-range planning are in your packet. Be glad to answer any questions that you might have. We also have a brief presentation on the Kings Bluff raw water supply system. Or do we? Or is it just in the packet?
It's just in the packet.
It's just in the packet. Oh, excuse me. There is the presentation that was made to the Long Range Planning Committee in your packet that you're welcome to review and encouraged to review so that you understand what's going on. And if there's any questions, we'll be glad to answer those also.
Do I have any questions? Are we moving on to Sustainability Committee, Dr. Cannon?
Yes, we have a resolution we are bringing to the full board today. We met on August 26th. The minutes are in your packet. I'm going to summarize this. It's essentially updating our environmental and safety policy within the Environmental Services Department to sort of more clearly talk about adopting the recommendations of the Climate Resiliency Working Group, which is a group of various staff within the organization. We have a resiliency plan. This just sort of formalizes what we've been doing and puts it into our actual policy. The proposal, you can click it if you're online, the little B, policy revision details and resolution. You can look at it. It's not too long. It's also found on page 174 in your packet. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Ken and Beth can answer them. Okay. If there aren't any questions, I'll take a motion to pass the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks so much. Mr. Chairman, could I take a point of personal privilege?
Yes.
So Lindsay has been amazing. And because we are not having another board meeting with her or even a sustainability committee meeting with her, I just wanted to take a minute today to thank her on behalf of sustainability and the whole board. We didn't have time to get to a plaque, but I did find something for your wall, for your bookshelf, that is, because I know how passionate you are about the environment, and I know that you're a rising star. Where you're headed is very lucky to get you. The first book, which I would ask the other sustainability members to co-sign with me, is Storms of My Grandchildren, which of course is a classic book about the environment by sort of the grandfather of climate action sustainability, who's James Hansen. And the second book, Pardon, Naked at Work. It's a leader's guide to fearless authenticity. It's about being a rising star in your professional organization. And because change is sometimes weird and difficult, I couldn't resist We're Just Like You, Only Prettier by our local Celia Rivenbark, which is very funny and will keep you laughing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I was thinking back when I started at CFPUA, we had just moved to Wilmington, and my daughter was 1 year old. And so I thought I had been in politics and in lobbying and advocacy, and I thought, okay, maybe local government in a small city will be nice and relaxing. And then 2 weeks later, the Gen X story was published in the Star News. And so, yeah, the job was actually never boring or, it was always interesting. There was hurricanes and lawsuits and many, many, many interesting and exciting projects along the way. And so now my daughter's 6. And so, yeah, it's been just like an amazing time here at CFPUA. And this board has always been really supportive of some of the maybe less traditional ideas or projects that I've brought to the board here. And I just want to thank you guys. It's been such a learning experience. And I've really grown professionally, but also personally. And I've had so much fun, getting to know all the staff and just sort of working with everyone here and learning from their expertise. So I'm always very appreciative and yeah, I'll always be a CFPUA fan. So maybe then I'll see the new advocates. I'll be advocating, I'll be working for a solar energy lobbying company, and I'll be managing all of the lobbyists across the Southeast. So maybe I'll see the new advocates also in Raleigh and still follow everything that CFPUA is doing. So thank you again for all of your support, and yeah, I look forward to kind of watching CFPUA evolve, and I'll still be in Wilmington, so maybe I'll come to a board meeting. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to finance, Ms. Adams.
So the minutes of the September 1st Finance Committee meeting are in your packet, and we have a monthly financials update.
Just use the mouse and
okay.
get out of that one.
Gotcha.
It should be down on the bottom.
What we got right here? Okay. All right. Well, this is hot off the press. We weren't able to turn this around for the Finance Committee on the 1st. But this is just a quick look, again, at our operations, our revenues versus our expenditures. This is 1 month through the fiscal year, and you can see that we have a fund balance or a change in fund balance, an excess of revenues over expenditures of around $4.5 million. That's there on line 13 under the operating column. Again, that's very kind of an inflated number. We're early in the fiscal year. It's a period during the year where we have a lot of consumption, and we also have not had the big debt service payment that came due on August 1st factored into that number. So this will obviously be monitored throughout the fiscal year. We're just very, very early on. So that brings our total unrestricted fund balance to around $65 million. Again, that'll continue to kind of come down a little bit, but we like to kind of maintain a cushion there a little bit. Our target is around $50 million, and we're closely monitoring that. We're meeting on a regular basis to project what our PAYGO-funded capital expenditures will be during the year, so that we don't fall below that $50 million mark. As far as revenues go, this is through August. The prior screen was through July, but this is revenues only. This is through August, and you can see our total revenues in terms of what we've actually recognized compared to our budget is 18.14%. That's on line 11 right here, which is pretty favorable, compared to, you can kind of, as a benchmark, we're 16.66% through the year, so looking good there. A little down, on SDCs. Again, that's a very kind of a volatile number. It's unpredictable, kind of about, when those SDCs will be charged and when those things will come in. But all in all, looking very favorable, and that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Will we have year-end financials available at like the next board meeting to talk about surplus and things like that?
Right. So what we traditionally do is we present that surplus number at the November meeting, and that's after our audit has been issued. Statutorily, we have to have that audit opinion dated no later than October 31st. And so we've traditionally brought that at the November board meeting. But yeah, that surplus number this year is about $200,000. So very, very close to breaking even this year.
John, how big is the August debt payment you referenced?
It's about $5 or $6 million, I believe. Maybe a little more than that. I don't know the number off the top of my head, Mr. Zappel. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Chairman, I'm
Yes.
sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, if we could circle back. I was having my separation anxiety from Lindsay moment, and I forgot to. I would like to make a motion based on this new update to our environmental policy resolution and based on building in sustainability. Would it make sense to the board to rename Environmental Management Division, the Division of Environmental Management and Sustainability, as a way to sort of reaffirm our commitment to the work we've been doing? So I'm making that motion, I guess.
What difference does it make?
Yeah, I don't see any. Do you have a second?
Oh, second. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you so much.
No, I was just saying aye. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you can say no.
If I don't hear you, say no, it's a yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
a
Mr.
follow-up on the monthly financial report. In going through it, I see that the legal fees, they're connected to the PFAS. We're, a little over $2 million, and my concern is, I know why we've gotten there, but it looks like we're projecting another $444,000. Is that enough? Linda, maybe it's a question to you, to be able to carry us through, because we are...
That may not be. The reason the legal fees are $2 million, they have contracted with our expert witnesses and with the folks who are going through all of the millions of documents, sorry, in this case. And that is essentially 90% of that fee is based on the cost to the experts and to those who are reviewing the documents for us. We, Brooks Pierce contracted with them, and we pay Brooks Pierce for that. So it's, that bill is not, but $450,000 may not be enough, but we'll see. But this $2 million is I'd say at least 90 to 95% for the experts that we've had to hire, and for the document reviewers that we hired, which were cheaper than the fees would be to have lawyers look at it. They're contract lawyers.
I see.
And we're sharing that with the other plaintiffs. That is cost, but still, that's what that is.
Linda, when do you think we'll see, if we need more? Is there a break point coming up anytime soon?
No, I think it'll be next spring.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we'll move on to Communication Committee, Mr. O'Grady.
Communication Committee met, minutes are attached. Any questions?
And lastly, Human Resources.
Human Resources met, and minutes are attached, and you approve the new compensation plan today. Well, benefits.
With that, concludes our agenda. Any old business or any closing comments? With none, I'll take a motion to adjourn with no closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.